We're Laura and Cindy, and you're listening to the Holistic Horsemanship and Husbandry podcast, where we talk about natural horsekeeping and deepening your connection with your horse. I'm Laura, your horse care mentor. I teach natural horse management practices after working with over 200 horses and seeing how current industry standards are compromising the health of the horse.
And I'm Cindy, your horsemanship mentor, offering a proven and unique approach to creating deep connections with your horses from 20 plus years of experience, including working with wild Mustangs. If you enjoy this conversation, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to us so we can get this podcast into the ears of more passionate horse people.
Well, today is a very gorgeous spring day. The birds are singing, the skies are blue, the wind is not here today because we just had our last, hopefully, summer or springtime storm. And today, Laura and I want to talk about hitting the trail. I don't know about you guys, but I'm at the end of winter. It's been a hard winter. It's been a crazy fall. I have ridden maybe 4 times since we left our ranch in August. And I'm ready to hit the trails. How about you, Laura?
Yeah, same. I'm trying to think of how many times I rode this winter. Like we hauled out twice, and I probably rode off the property. Yeah. Yeah, I might have you beat by one.
Oof.
Go me.
Oof. Jealous. It must be nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm about to have full-time childcare. So before I decide to take on 50 more trimming clients, I'm putting some dedicated time on the calendar to ride my own horse because that's at the end of the day why we do all this work all the time. And
Right.
yeah, I want to spend some quality time with her.
Got to have that me time. And when we have horses, it's me and my horse time.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to talk about, and being a horsemanship coach and Laura being a hoof care specialist, we see a lot. And one of the things we were talking about this morning is everybody is itching to ride. And whether you live in flatland country, rolling hill country, or high mountain country, our horses have been off for the winter, as have we. So we want to talk today about doing the very best we can as a steward of our beautiful horses in setting them up for a spring and summer of lots of joy and outings and connectedness. And how do we do that? We need to do it the same way we ought to be doing it for ourselves, which is let's get in shape.
Yeah.
Let's protect our body. Let's protect their body.
Yeah, I think it's step one is just being super honest with yourself. Like we get really excited. We want to go. Somebody calls, "Hey, I'm going to do this. You want to come with?" Immediate yes. But you have to pause and look at yourself and look at your horse and look at what you've done all winter and be really honest. Like right now, MJ and I, well, I'm probably actually in pretty good shape because I trim horses all day. But MJ's not in good shape. I- 4 miles is probably her max. 4 miles, not a lot of hills. So if somebody calls and says, "Hey, I'm going on a full day ride. Do you want to come?" As much as my heart wants to go, that's a no for me.
Right now.
Right
Not
now.
yet.
Right now. Not yet.
Yeah.
And honestly, unless that person has had a busy winter, it probably should be a no for them too. So maybe I'd get away with saying I'd love to come, but
Right.
here's my limits on that.
Yep.
But it's, we have to think about our physical fitness, but also our horse's mental and emotional. Like right
Right.
now, my horses are more attached to each other than they have been since we moved.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to be able to just tack up MJ and ride out the driveway. Right now, I need to walk MJ down the street and back and
Hmm.
show them that they're not going to die when they walk away from each other.
Hmm.
And being fair and honest with myself and her is how I set us up for success.
Success and joy should always be our number one priorities.
Yeah.
And
And
I just want to touch before we go too far on what you were saying, Laura, about you being in better shape than MJ because you're trimming hoofs all day, which yes, your muscles are more stretched, you're stronger, but what we so often don't think about, you guys, is ours and their cardio. Cardio. Laura's fit and strong, but I think if she and I put on our tennis shoes and we tried to walk 5 miles, we'd probably be breathing harder than we want to be, and we would probably still be sore at the end of it. So, if you are one of those people that has a regular workout program routine that you're devoted to, I am so jealous and impressed because I don't, and I wish I did. But we have to not only just think about can our muscles do it, but Laura's right, emotionally and mentally, can they have they been cooped up all winter and are they going to see the open trails and go, wow? And they're going to be so jacked up on adrenaline and they want to go that that in of itself has its own negative consequences, that it turns into a fight
yeah,
and, or a wreck. We see Laura and I both can say with complete honesty is we have seen some serious wrecks that did not need to happen.
yeah. So just the other day, um, our little boarding situation shares a fence line with a huge boarding situation. So those horses are riding by all the time. And gal's riding by. And her horse lives in the pasture. And so when her horse has to then walk by the pasture to get out to the trail, it doesn't want to. It's bucking, it's spinning, it's doing the thing. So she figures out she can get this horse to walk backwards, even though she can't get him to walk forwards. So she turns him around, wails on his face,
Mm,
and backs him for 200 yards.
mm.
And he's hopping up in the front end. And MJ and I are both watching this going, oh my God, this horse is going to rear up and flip over on this lady if she doesn't give him a release. And it didn't happen, but that was the trajectory that was on. And for what gain? When she could
Her
have literally
agenda.
like popped off,
Hmm.
asked him to do a couple turns, got his attention back, walked those 200 yards, got him back on, and ridden him down the trail.
And the question that comes to my mind is because, yes, that would be, I mean, if you haven't set yourself up for success, which she clearly has not, and I'm going to say you don't know what you don't know till you know it.
Right.
Um, but given that she found herself in that particular situation, that would have been the best thing for her and her horse. Because you guys, when we wank on our horses' mouths with a bit in their mouth, that's like next to their genitalia, that is the most sensitive area on the horse's body, except for their eyes as well. I mean, that's cruelty, period. It
Yep.
may be unintentional, but getting off and walking like Laura recommended would have been the best thing at that time, given the situation. Yet, so many women and their horses don't know how to get on without a mounting block. So, a lot of women, which is another really crazy, dangerous thing if you know what you know, will get on the mountain block, get on their horse, and not get off
No matter what, because they
no
know they can
matter
get
what.
back on.
Because,
Yes.
yes. So that's where doing that groundwork and really nurturing that relationship and partnership during the winter pays you dividends
Yes.
come this time of the year.
And you don't even necessarily, it is gold standard. You should be able to get on from the ground, and that's great. But if you're at a stage in life where that's done for you, that doesn't mean that you can't get off. It means your horse needs to be trained to be able to slidle up to a hillside, a rock, a stump. You're out in nature. There's always something you can stand on. There's
Yep.
literally right where she could have gotten off is the rock that I mount on every time at the end of our driveway. So
Mhm.
I don't want to be ableist and say, like, if you're not strong enough to lift yourself up on your horse, you shouldn't go on a trail ride. That's not it at all. It's you need to get creative and you need to work with your horse. Maybe you go out and you walk and you practice standing calmly next to stumps and logs and hillsides and getting on and off. Because
Mhm.
when the adrenaline is high, you need that muscle memory and that training to call back to for your horse to stand still, for you to get on. Otherwise, mounting out there is dangerous. And you don't want to be choosing between two horrible and dangerous options of one, I have to stay on because it's not safe, or two, I have to risk getting shoved off this log or dragged or whatever because it's not safe. Like you need to set yourself up with a safe option to get on and off your horse.
Right, because I mean, they can get rocks in their hoofs. Somebody
Yes.
else's, I mean, I've ridden with women where their bridles have the Chicago screws, or they're not used to checking their tack, and that's another thing. Everybody, please check your tack really, really good. Clean it really, really good right now
Especially if
before
it's
you
been
ride
sitting
for
in
the
a barn all
season.
winter and you don't know what's rotted, what's chewed by a mouse, what's yeah.
Right. Don't get out on the trail. I carry a lot of extra stuff hooked onto my saddle for those very reasons. And very rarely have I had to use them. I usually am repairing somebody else's tack that's broken, but all of my horses learn pick me up. And I do it off the fences, I do it off the mounting blocks, I do it off my trailers, I do it off of rocks, logs, whatever, a hill, an uneven
Hmm.
part of the land. Because Rocky's 15 too, and I'm 5'2", and my legs, even in my good days, couldn't get my foot up in that stirrup. So yeah, that's that preparation that Laura and I are always talking about. How do you prepare yourselves to have a wonderful season with your horse? And one of the things that I love to do for many reasons, but especially this time of the year, is I love to take walks with my horses because there is this golden rule and it is golden through and through. If you and your horse cannot do it when your feet are on the ground, there is no way you're going to be able to do it when you take your feet off the ground. I mean, think about that, you guys. That's just kind of common sense, right? When your feet are on the ground, you're grounded. You have more control over your body and more ability to communicate with the horse. But once you put yourself in the saddle, and by the way, that is a blind spot on a horse. So when you pull that hanky out of your pocket to wipe your nose on those crisp spring days and your horse takes off, it's because you're on their blind spot. And all of a sudden they see this white thing out of the corner of their eyes and they're like, what the? And they're gone.
Yes.
So work out the boogers and the bugs on beautiful walks on these beautiful spring days with your horse and
Tack
walk.
them up. This is a great opportunity to test out your tack. Make sure it still
Mm,
fits. Find those issues. See how they respond to the saddlebag that you threw on there with your first aid kit in it, all that stuff that Cindy just talked about. Test it on a walk.
yeah.
Worst case scenario, you have to leave your saddle on the side of the road. You walk your horse home, you go get your car, you go get your saddle back. Like,
Or better yet, don't leave the round pin until you know that your horse isn't going to buck because there's a spur in the blanket or a mouse turd or something poking them in the back under their blanket that you didn't check. Play in the round pen, then
yes.
go for the walk. If you and when she says tack them up, she doesn't mean bridle.
Oh, don't walk your horse in a bit, please.
No, just
Yeah.
put their halter on them. And then go for that beautiful walk and walk, trot, back up. disengage their hindquarters, ask their forequarters to come to you and away from you. Everything that you would be needing to do on the trail in the saddle, play with that on the ground. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, that's not why I have a horse. I just want to ride.
Well, then
Well,
get a motorcycle because that's not real life.
and that's our coarse reaction, which we both always say. And then our more delicate and polite is it's about the relationship and the partnership, you guys.
And you know why we say that? We say that because it's about the relationship and the partnership. And we're like, if you don't want a relationship and a partnership,
Get a
get
motorcycle.
a motorcycle. Like,
Or a balloon.
right. Like,
That's safe. That's safer than both.
yeah.
But the point being is horses are not our tool. They're not our slave. I've had this conversation a lot recently with my clients is, it's like, why are they doing that? Why won't they do that? It's like, you guys, God did not make these animals for the purpose of us riding on their backs.
Yeah, for you to do a beautiful, perfect side pass. They don't care about that.
That is not why
Yeah.
they exist. They are just so gracious and so amazing and love social interaction and puzzles and problem solving and game playing that they sign on and say okay to us. We do not have the right to expect anything out of them. We
Yeah.
should be grateful for everything they offer to us. So learn to take your horse for a walk and have fun and work your cardio.
Yeah. It's so like I love just tacking up so that I can ride and doing a mix because you can get your brain and your body, everything, if you go into it with no expectations. And I'm going to give my horse what they need in the moment. I'm going to give myself what they need in the moment. Sometimes I see something on the trail that makes me very nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll get off, even if MJ doesn't care at all, because that's what's fair to her. Like we go buy some horses that brush the fence and get excited when we go by. And I just feel like if MJ decided to school them, I could handle that on the ground better. So I get off, even though most of the time she just stares at them like, hey, what's up? And keeps walking and it doesn't matter. So, like, you're building your mental and emotional fitness at the same time as theirs, and you can do it all at once by just going on a short walk with no expectations. So that looks like I'm going to walk out the driveway, and if you're super calm and quiet, I'm going to hop on using the mounting block rock at the end of the driveway. And if you struggle with that, we're going to spend 10 minutes there taking deep breaths and sliding up and working on our cues and da 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 da. And then once we get through that, we're going to walk down the road. And if at any point on the road you get sticky and nervous, I'll pop off and we'll walk back and forth at that spot and we'll wait for you to release and regulate your nervous system. And then I'll get back on and I'll see if we can ride by that spot now that we walked by it. And then we'll keep going and we'll do that process, for 20 minutes and see how far we get. And then we'll turn around and we'll go home. And guess what? We did a mile and a half. So
This,
what's that going to look like next time? How can we go farther? How can we get in more shape? No
mhm.
expectations, just noticing where you're at and meeting the needs in the moments.
No expectations. And the other thing that Laura did in that whole description of what she and MJ do is there was no assumptions.
Yeah.
She
No,
didn't
oh, you've seen that
assume,
dog 800 times.
yeah,
What's your problem? Yeah.
right. She didn't assume that MJ is usually fine with all those horses. They could come running at any time. She could be getting ready to cycle. She made no assumptions and she had very little expectations. There are a handful of ongoing expectations we have. We communicate clearly, we respect each other's boundaries. I am still the leader unless I say, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you show me the way? That is all about the partnership. For me, I want to know that my horses are as content standing still, doing nothing,
Hmm.
anytime, anywhere, as they are about going forward. So, what I might do is we do lots of stopping and exploring, and I love to let my horses graze on the trail. And I was not always that way. I was that person that's like, no, you don't let them eat on the trail because then it's a constant fight and it's a constant battle. And that's a reality. And the reason it's a reality is because they don't view you or respect you as their leader, or you don't have a fair but firm enough approach to say, no, not yet. It's coming. You don't get to decide, but I promise you it's coming. So I let my horses graze on the trail. And the reason I do that is because I want them to enjoy it. It's not just about me. If I want a snack, I'm going to snack. When we go out for 3, 4, 5 hour rides, we always stop in the middle and have lunch. And we always do it in a
Absolutely.
space
Yeah.
where the horses can graze and we can eat. And so I want that stomach to stay happy and healthy with something to digest, and those bile acids aren't sloshing up on that sensitive lining of their stomach, creating ulcers. And the way that you do that is by making sure you have food in the trailer if you're trailering out. Make sure you let them eat while you're tacking them up. And again, if your horse isn't listening to you while he's eating and you're tacking them up, you need some help in leadership and training and communication, because horses can absolutely be respectful while they're eating and you're tacking.
You know what it usually is? And it's important awareness to have. It doesn't usually have anything to do with the food. It's usually there's something else in the environment that your horse is freaked out about, and you're pushing them through it. And so they're trying to evade you. And that might
Well,
look like I'm eating and swinging my butt into you and telling you to disappear, but it really is like all I can handle right now is eating because I'm freaked out by X thing over here.
Ready to unlock true freedom with your horse? Join Unbridled Freedom, our private Facebook group for women on a spiritual journey in horsemanship. We don't fix our horses, we transform ourselves. This is your space to embrace challenges, celebrate victories, and deepen your bond with your horse. If you're ready to lead with wisdom, compassion, and inner peace, join us today. Let's dance with our horses as one. The link is in the show notes below.
I would say could be. I've also seen horses that they just aren't respectful of you around them. So you could not be feeding them and trying to groom
Right.
them and tack them up, and they're still not partnered with you. In that point is that's a relationship problem.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that the horse is eating. It's you can do so much with your horse if you have taken the time to really work on the partnership and the relationship. And so, back to when I'm out on the trail, I do let them stop and graze. And I'll let them do it for 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how long it's been, what is their level of emotional regulation,
Yeah.
and how far are we going, and how much did they eat before we left. But I never want to ride my horse ever, anywhere, anytime, just for me. It's always for them. So when you are getting ready to go out and start your season, spring and summer and fall, remember your horses have been on R&R. Even if you've been on a regular riding them 2 to 4 times a week in the arena, you haven't been climbing mountains with them. You haven't been climbing grades with them. And it's as hard on them going down as it is up. So we have to be mindful of their mental, emotional, and physical fitness as well as our own.
I want to throw in some nuance on that statement because it's an important one to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder on their skeletal system, their muscles, their strength going down.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder on their cardiovascular system going up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an access point to Folsom Lake where I go down basically a mountainside to get to it and come back up it going home. I
Mm-hmm.
walk MJ down it because I know she's muscularly not able to carry me. Like I can feel as soon as her back hollows out, she shoves all of her weight into her front feet and she starts shuffling. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm getting off. That's not using your body correctly. I'm taking myself out of this equation. Going home, I ride her up it because she's 10 times better off cardiovascularly than she is in her strength. And that's just in knowing the individual animal that you have and working within that. You're going to have the opposite. You're going to have animals that are strong as a freaking ox and they go up a little 10-foot hill and are gassed.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Huffing and
horse,
puffing.
like, that horse needs more cardiovascular conditioning. And you need to give them more space and help them more in that area.
So treat entering in this wonderful time of the year as a horse owner, treat it as two athletes
Mhm.
just getting ready to jump back into the season. And pay attention to how much is your horse sweating? How thick is their winter coat? How heavy are they breathing? How strong do they feel? When their muscles are getting fatigued, you can literally feel a difference in them. And be willing to get off and walk. Be willing to stop. I am constantly watching the horses I'm riding with, and I have no problem saying we need to stop and take a break. And it's not because my horse is struggling, it's because the horse next to me is huffing and puffing and can't get their breath. And we need to stop and let them rest. And I mean, why not? Right? We're out on the trail, we're in a beautiful place. I mean, why not? But we have to be willing to be aware of the fact that they are not in the shape that they were when we put them up at the end of fall.
Yep.
And they'll get there, but we can help them get there faster by taking the time that it takes to slowly build them up and build ourselves up so we don't have either of us having injuries that are going to put us on the bench for the whole season.
I was a competitive swimmer for 20 years and had some really good coaches in that and some really not so good coaches in it. And the not so good coaches would start the team out way too hard at the beginning of the season,
Mm,
and a decent percentage of the team would be down with injuries. And it's like you just shoot yourself in the foot before the fun even begins when you push them too hard. And we can't control everything. They come
mm-mm,
back from a trail ride, they're exhausted, their muscles are tired, but their brain goes, yeehaw, I'm back with my buddies. And they go out and pull a hammy being themselves. Accidents are gonna happen, but we can head off so much by being aware of where they're at and increasing slowly instead of getting excited and hopping in the trailer with our friends and checking out and not paying attention to our horses because we're chatting and something bad happens.
yeah. So what I do, because I don't really have a lot of opportunity where I have my horses to just get on and go ride. So it's either arena work, round pin work, or not much. So if I'm in a trailer out, I'm going somewhere for the first few rides looking for distance, not climbs, not elevation. Because and not, I like something that I know, like Washoe Lake where I live is beautiful because it's shallow sand, little bit of road with rocks, and some deep sand, and then the water. So I'm very mindful those first half dozen rides that I'm not taking them in deep sand for too long because I don't want to pull any tendons, strain anything. I'm it gets hot out there, so we try to go in the morning, and I let them play in the lake in the middle of the ride. I don't want their muscles too cold, and I don't want their muscles too hot. So we play right in the middle of the ride, and it's kind of that treat of the beginning of the cool down, so that we walk back. I won't ride more than 4 miles, and
That's
four
my like
miles,
that's my like top out for getting back in shape
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, 4 miles flat.
And 4 miles is going to be minimal deep sand. Just remember what this is, and it's going to be about that middle mark. I'm not doing anything strenuous for the first mile or two, but just making sure we're connected.
Yeah.
Do we have any bugs that have come up during our time off? And then after those nice 6 rides, then I'll start going longer and into deeper sand, or longer in the deep sand. We might start climbing some sand dunes, but I'm not going to go out there the first few rides and start hitting the sand dunes. So, and then after we've done like 12 rides there, then I'm going to start finding some gradual mountain rides. And again, I'm only going, if we're going from the flatland to the mountains, 3 miles is max. And within that 3 miles, we're not doing a lot of climbing. We're doing some climbing, some gradual up, and then we rest at the top, and then some slow down, then play in the creek. I try to pick my rides where I know there's water.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that opportunity, and you need to be mindful of that, you know. Um, so just, it it's fun. You're less sore if you haven't been riding much in the winter. They're less sore, and when they get back to the trailer, um, they've got hay for the ride home.
And make sure that, going from being out on the trail to standing in a trailer is a recipe for tying up.
Hmm.
So that last 2 miles is a cool down. You're walking,
Yeah.
you're stretching them out. You're giving them a minute to drink some water when they get back to the trailer. You haul in water for them if you need to. You're respecting the fact that, we know how we feel when we ride, do a couple hour ride, and then drive home in the truck and you get out of the truck at the other end and you're all, my legs are all stiff, my back's all stiff. They're going through the same thing. And we don't ever, ever, ever just let them haul ass home and then throw them in the trailer and drive home. That is. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever looked at your horse and wondered if they're thriving in your care? Is there more you can do to give them the best life possible? Most ranches and boarding facilities are set up for convenience, not horse health, but there's tons you can do to fix your horse's situation if you're willing to get creative. Join Evidence-Based Horsekeeping, my Facebook group where members learn how to improve the mental and physical well-being of their horses. The link is in the show notes.
And for those that won't walk home, that still want to pass fast pace because they know they're headed towards the trailer. Once you get to the trailer, it's a great time to take their saddle off, let them roll if there's anywhere they can roll. If your horse is of that behavior, I would encourage you not to go places where there is no safe place to unsaddle your horse and let them roll, and to take them for a hand walk cool down. And you should already be really good at that, because in the winter that's what we're doing. If we're riding them in the arena and they get all sweaty, we're hand walking them till they cool down. So if you have a horse that gets a little excited because you're going back to the trailer, um, then make sure that you take that 15 minutes to cool them down.
Yeah, and that can happen on a horse that doesn't usually do that
Hmm.
in the first couple rides. It can happen unexpectedly. So don't panic and think, "Oh my God, I've failed my horse," if it happens. Just be prepared to handle it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Preparation is key, you
Yep.
know, to success in anything, really,
And
but
another
definitely.
thing to be aware of in the preparation is that we're finding that their huge muscle systems are a lot slower on recovery than yours and mine are. So if you need 2 days off after a ride, they need three.
Hmm.
Be careful not to just say, oh, well, we're going to get back in shape. So here we go every single day. Boom, 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 boom. Because if you're working fatigued, maxed out muscles, that's when your injuries happen.
So, no 3 or 4 day camping trips where you're going to ride every single day
Yeah.
at the beginning of this season. That's mid-season to late season adventures.
Yeah. And I love a May camping trip and would love to get back to doing that kind of stuff someday. But that means, regardless of what the weather is doing in February, March, and April, I'm conditioning.
Hmm. Hmm. So it's all kind of common sense, but it seems like common sense to us because we've just had horses all our lives. Well, or we've been diving, deep diving for many, many, many years. So, um,
And it is common sense, but it is not commonly practiced. Like I
right.
used to be part of a riding club, and their first ride of the year once was 9 miles up the side of a mountain.
Ah,
And I was
yikes.
wicked pissed because we were told it was going to be 4 miles. And then the ride leaders just decided they liked this trail better and screw everyone else. And there were some horses during that ride that were not okay. I quit the club after that because I was like, this
That's
is
sad.
some BS. So it is common sense, but it is not commonly practiced. Like, you have to be willing to be the uncool person and say,
The
this is
other,
not what's best for me and my horse. The
the other,
decisions you're making are not going to work for me.
right. And can you be courageous enough to
Enough to
say
do
peace
that.
out?
Yeah.
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 The other thing that I've even been guilty of, and I got reminded very quickly and will not ever forget it again, hopefully, when I was starting a young colt out on trails. Remember, halfway out is what you're actually marking because you have to turn around and come back.
Always know what it's going to take to get you home. That is so important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there's been a couple times like, oh, he's doing great. We're going to go a little bit farther. Okay. Oh, now he's exhausted. Oh, shit. I have to get him back to the trailer. I have done that on poor little Harry when we
Oh,
first started
yeah.
trail riding. And I literally had to get off and walk with him. And by the time we got through the trailer, he was exhausted. And Laura's point to recovery time, that little guy went back to his pasture and laid down, and he was sluggish and slow for like 2 to 3 days later. And I felt horrible. And I'm a trainer, but you just get so excited and you sometimes put the agenda and the goals like, oof, I want this by then, and we
Well,
misjudge.
and they get excited. That's another, you've got to know your horse because Harry is a classic, can check out of his body like that.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
you're watching his little brain going, I'm having so much fun. This is awesome. This is awesome. I'm not paying attention to my body. And then all of a sudden his body is like, stop.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
And little Harry, when he's done, he has no problem laying down right there,
like,
saddle and all. And
take
it's
a
like,
nap.
dude, you can't do this. He's like, I'm
So
doing
you
it.
got to know your horse. You
Hmm.
know, if that's possible for them, you have to call it before they tell you. Another thing that's really important to know about is in your navigation. Like if you're on a new trail, if you're doing a loop instead of an out and back, if I'm exploring a loop for the first time, I always have in the back of my mind, how far would it be if I had to go back exactly how I came because I know that one.
Yes, exactly.
And then we we're still trying to figure out how all the different access points of Folsom Lake hook up. So at one point, one of the times we did go out this winter, we were looking at the map and then realized ooh, if we go to the one we know is there, this is going to be a 9 mile ride. We think there's another one in the middle and we're going to try to hit that. But if we miss that, we're going to turn around. And even so, it's going to be a 5.5 mile ride, and that's a lot for these horses. So in that 2 miles that we were making that decision, we both got off and walked to make sure that we were saving our horses until we knew exactly what it was going to take to get them home.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
So, just all great things to be aware of, you guys, as we are all embarking on what will be another wonderful season with our horses if we
Yeah.
do the preparation properly.
And just remember, if they're not having fun and you're not having fun, that's not the point. And when you're pushing yourself beyond your abilities, it's not fun.
I think because we're talking trail riding, you guys, and Laura shared one of her not knowing the people she's riding with stories. If somebody you don't know invites you to go on a trail ride and you really like them and you like their horse and your horses get along and you want to go, um, make it short.
Yeah.
Maybe even make it a trail you know. Because the last thing you want to do is get out, say yes with somebody, and go out on a trail ride and be like, holy shit, this is not the way I ride.
Yeah. And make sure that you can leave that group if you need to. So maybe that means you go with another person and you two agree, hey, if either one of us have to leave, we leave together. Or maybe
Yeah,
that means you and your horse have the relationship where you know, like, I know I can walk MJ away from a situation if I have to, and I will.
yeah.
It doesn't mean if somebody's having a horrible ride and you leave them to survive on their own because you've decided that's not what you wanted to do today. That is not what I'm saying. But I have been on a ride where someone was riding way above their husband's ability. They put their husband on their untrained horse, went out, was riding way above his ability. And it was completely unsafe. And my friend that I was with, and I turned around and left because we were like, somebody is going to die here. This is not the ride we signed up for. We're not comfortable riding with you. We're going to leave.
And I always ride with people who understand we leave as a group, we come back as a group. And when I first got Rocky, I made the mistake of riding with somebody I've been following and we're friends on Facebook and we've done some, other horse things together, but never trail riding. And I agreed to go to Washoe Lake with them. And Rocky had never been there and he was out of shape and he and I were new and they wanted to ride the 7 mile trail. And I was only up for 2 miles with him. And I had brought my dogs, and one of my dogs had gotten chased by one of the other riders' dogs. I mean, it was one of the reasons that I am very picky with who I ride with. But they were skilled horsewomen, and I figured I made the assumption that they had better or the same trail riding etiquette as I do. And so I said, he can't go that far. I need to turn around. And they're like, okay, see you later.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah. No.
off they went. They were actually ponying a horse as well. Off they went. And now I'm having to cut my horse off the lake and in through the sand dunes with wild horses out there. And he's leaving his herd.
Yeah.
It went well, but there was a lot of hollering and a lot of stopping to let him know he's okay and a lot of sweating by the time we got back to the trailer.
Yeah.
And it went well because I'm experienced and he's a good horse, but it could have not gone well. And it didn't go as well as I would have liked it to have for his first ride out there.
Yeah. That is like just a terrible miscommunication of them being like, oh, that's fine. You'll just leave. And you being like, no, I thought we were all
Right.
going to
And I
go.
didn't
Yeah.
ask them, how long are you going?
Yeah.
I didn't. I made
Yeah.
assumptions,
Yeah.
which is huge, huge mistake.
Yeah. So
So,
that that kind of stuff happens.
yep.
And it is important that you and your horse can do what you and your horse need to be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you also want to ride with good people where you don't have to go that option unless,
Yep.
God forbid, your very best friend in all the wide world falls off their horse and you need to go get help. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to leave if you don't have.
Right. You try to stay as a group.
Yeah.
But all my old writing friends, they've either moved or passed away or, things are differently. We're getting ready to move. It's going to be a whole new group.
Yep.
So yeah, you just have to know your horse. And at any given time, I would have gotten off of Rocky and we would have walked back.
Yeah.
We didn't have to, but that was definitely always an option to get off and walk.
And if you don't think you can leave your horse with a group, get together with a good group and practice that.
Hmm.
We used to do that all the time. Hey, we're all going on a ride. Hey, I've got an appointment at 11, so I'm going to go and I'm going to practice leaving. And we all knew that if that person, for whatever reason, was actually unable to leave with their horse, we would have all just gone back with them and then gone and continued on our ride. But
Yeah.
great practice. And 9 times out of 10, it went great. And then that confidence builds. That confidence builds.
Yep. So prepare, prepare, prepare. Make no assumptions. If you can't walk a mile out and a mile back with your horse, then don't expect to ride him out.
Just start there. Just do the walk.
And, take some time in the arena and tune up. Tune up on the ground, tune up in the saddle, check all your gear, take your first aid kits with you, you
Yeah, make
know.
sure your Vaseline hasn't exploded all over your Band-Aids and all the goo isn't melted together, all that
Yep.
nasty.
Yep.
Like, just look through it all, open up all those containers, make sure it's all there.
Yeah.
Get
Yep.
rid of your expired Banamine, put some new stuff in there,
Yep. Yep. Prepare, prepare, prepare.
and have fun out there.
So if you have any questions about the topics covered in this episode, send us a message on our Facebook page, Holistic Horsemanship and Husbandry, and we will answer your question in a post on our page. You will be anonymous. We'll just take the question and provide our input, and we want to do it on the post so that we can all learn and grow together, because nobody knows everything. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. We want to remind you that we'll be here every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, following the golden rule. Have a plan, but always be willing to be flexible. Don't forget to connect with us using the links in the show notes below.
If you learned something new today, had an aha, or walked away with a valuable nugget, you can say thanks by leaving us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on.